You must know instead that inside you are entire universes, milky blue, magenta, and gold, expanding. But to actually be free, you must know and you must fight for the entire universes inside of everyone else. Being free is not a license, but a promise.
I recently ordered a package from an online retailer, and when it arrived, the package was empty. When I contacted the retailer, they wanted me to show the problem with a photo. I emailed them a photo of an empty box. It is hard to prove something that is not there. Likewise, it is hard to know what we don't know. Quick, think of everything you don't know. I've been thinking about this a lot lately since I have been meeting with so many people in my efforts to reconnect with our congregation after my sabbatical, which ended in March. I've been joking that I'm a very caffeinated minister because I've been having coffee. Let's have coffee. I should say let's go for a walk or something, because I think I'm up to my eyeballs in coffee. One of the best parts of this job is the relationships that I get to build. I love looking into this room and knowing who I am talking to. Some of you more perhaps than others, but I don't love guest preaching in other congregations because I didn't write the sermon for strangers. I wrote it for you. I imagined your faces. I know some of your stories and what you might need to hear. And what I have learned in meeting with you is that every single one of us has so much going on in our lives, so much going on in our bodies, in our relationships, in our families, so much more than meets the eye. I mean, truly, it is boggling. And I get a very sacred glimpse into that complexity. If there are 80 people in this room right now, there are 800 things that we do not know. We are focusing this month on one of our UU values, pluralism. And you might recall that the 7 UU principles are being reworked, rewritten, and they will be voted on at this summer's General Assembly and will be rebranded as the 7 values. Almost all of the language that we love from the 7 principles is still in there. Don't worry, it's all going to be okay. Let's take a deep breath. But one of the 7 values is pluralism. And we're delving into this theme with what we're calling here at the fellowship, we contain multitudes. Because often when we think of pluralism, especially in a UU context, we're thinking of religious or theological pluralism. The idea that multiple religious or non-religious ideas can coexist together and that together they can form and inform and create a rich, beautiful community. And we do certainly have religious and theological pluralism here in our UU community. But pluralism can mean so many things. It can refer to culture. We don't have to be a cultural melting pot. We could retain our unique cultural identities as part of a tapestry of society. Pluralism can refer to abilities, worldviews, sexual and gender identities, and neurodiversity, among other things. Pluralism just means a bunch of things can all coexist together for the good of the whole. It means we don't have to squash certain parts of ourselves in order to be in the group. Our society is rapidly becoming more and more aware of the diversity of experiences, abilities, and identities that people might inhabit or possess. People are claiming a range of genders and pronouns. celebrating disability status, joyfully repossessing ancestral heritage and language, or identifying with various mental health or neurodiversity diagnoses, ADHD, autism, OCD, bipolar, and more. For some, this myriad of labels might seem confusing or annoying. For others, they might even see this awareness as threatening. But as Unitarian Universalists, as a people committed to pluralism, we can honor that we are each intricate and complex. And that is so amazing. It doesn't have to be threatening. It can be beautiful and incredible. And with this increased awareness in our society of all the ways that we can each be unique, it's even more amazing when people are given the opportunity to discover their own uniqueness, to find their weird, and to live into it fully. In my own home, here are a couple of examples. I have begun to recognize and claim my own identity as a chronically ill, disabled person. Now, at first, that was not comfortable at all. But now it actually feels freeing. It feels freeing to know this about myself and to not try to trap my experience of my life into a small box into which it does not fit. Without that knowledge and that claim and that label, the assumption is that my body is the same as the expected norm in our society. But by claiming it, I'm able to say it's not. And that's good. And that's okay. My two kids are, at least it seems at the moment, neurodivergent, which means that their brains and nervous systems don't work the way that our society is set up. They don't learn or behave in the ways that this narrow slice of humans learn and behave. And so, since our world is set up for that narrow slice, the ones on the outside of that are the ones as seen as having challenges. There's nothing inherently wrong with their brains. It's the way our society is set up. And as I have delved more into understanding my own children so that I can advocate for them, I've realized that neurodiversity is such a gift. Our brains are incredible and really, really diverse. I mean, I could do a poll right now. How many of you see pictures when you think? Yeah, how many of you hear a voice inside your head talking? See, not everybody is the same. All of our brains are different, and that is what neurodiversity means. And if we could harness the different ways that we all learn and perceive and experience the world, wow, wouldn't that be amazing? Think of the power we would unleash if we didn't force people, trap people into expected boxes. For example, ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, that's even how it's labeled, is characterized as a problem paying attention, but often it's actually an overabundance of attention, hyper-focus on certain things, and an ability to take in a huge amount of information that the rest of us might filter out. Is that a problem? Maybe it's a superpower. And I also think about gender when I'm thinking about this and the ways that people are breaking out of the boxes of cis heteronormativity. Now, and that has trapped us for centuries, cis heteronormativity. Now I'm going to break down that long word. Cis or cisgender means identifying as the gender that you were given at birth. So if when you were born, the adults around you looked at your body and called you a boy, and now you identify as a boy or a man, you are cisgender or cis. Same for girls or women. But if you now identify as a gender different from the one that you were called at birth, you are not cis. You are probably transgender, or there are other options, non-binary, genderqueer, many of the other identities that people are using to name the experience of what it feels like in their body. And this is why we're trying here at the fellowship to introduce ourselves more often by using pronouns. It's not politically correct or woke or any of that. It's just an attempt to say that everyone has the right to be called by the identity that they claim. And if only the trans folks are the ones who have to remind people of their correct pronouns so that they not be misgendered, then the burden is constantly on them, on that group of people, to do the emotional labor around identity. We can all lighten that labor. We can all lighten that load by just all of us naming our pronouns when we introduce ourselves or putting them on our name tag so that it's just something we all do. It's not a big deal or a burden. For the sake of my 2 children, I am so grateful for the progress that has been made around breaking open gender binaries and gender expectations. For now, my children are cis boys. Who knows how they will identify as they grow, but the rigid boxes that trap them into the one correct way to be a boy or a man harms them. It harms them. And I don't want that for them. These rigid boxes harm all of us that say this is the right way to be your gender. This is the right way to be a smart person. This is the right way to be a healthy person. This is what a normal or typical body looks like. Those trap us. And we all deserve to be free from that. Each of our bodies and brains and identities and commitments are so much more than meets the eye. And we are better for it. To return to the poem we heard earlier by Reverend Soto, who identifies as a disabled, queer, non-binary Latinx minister, you must know instead that inside you are entire universes, milky blue, magenta, and gold, expanding. But to actually be free, you must know and you must fight for the entire universes inside of everyone else. May we, as a pluralistic faith, know and fight for the universes in each and every one of us. Amen. And may it be so.